Good morning, Doug.
Hey, good morning. Hi, everyone.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Hey, you and I were talking about like wins in life, and I think something you sent me from the Twitter machine was like uh, ballers of today. Like if you're a baller today, you might be someone who has high net worth, not necessarily high income, or owning a car, or deciding how you dress. And you and I are failing in life because we both have dress shirts on today. And if we were to decide how we dress, I mean, what would that look like on July 4th weekend?
I went with the red, white, and blue.
Oh, well, okay, you're a winner. I digress. Let's start a different way. Pete is balling. I am failing. If I were to be winning today, you'd see me with my life vest on from last week. But yeah, so Keith's balling, and we were having fun thinking about what is the new definition of a baller today.
I have a shirt that I got on a trip. It was a Life is Good shirt, and it's got a hammer across the front of it, and it says, "This is not a drill." And it's my kids just give me grief because it's such a dad joke. This thing is, it's real life, right? It's not a drill. It's only one time, and live it well. So the disclaimer I want to point out this week: beware of neighbors lighting fireworks. Just imagine how much training they've actually had. You might want to keep a fire extinguisher close by.
When you think about money that you've blown over the years, like my neighbors put on a fantastic fireworks display, and I have no idea how much money that costs, but like I've just never been a fireworks purchaser. I can drive past Alabama fireworks outlet and just not even blink an eye. Have you ever dropped serious coin on fireworks?
I have not. I mean, when I was a kid, I would buy, you couldn't even buy them back then. It was kind of illegal, but I would look for fireworks back then, like firecrackers. We did things that you probably go to jail with today with firecrackers, because it's just kind of what kids did back then. They blew stuff up.
They put them in their Matchbox and Hot Wheels, but I was actually a kid who would wax his Hot Wheels. Me and my buddy Gabe, we'd wax and wash them and take care of them. And imagine a fireworks going inside.
Mr. Stonks, what do you think?
Well, I think Mr. Stonks, if he were to look at the stock market, he'd be pretty pleased. The market has been it's been enjoyable these last few months, and at least coming off of 2022, where it was just really tough. It was painful, hard to get any traction anywhere. It's been great to see some lifeblood coming back into stocks and into companies, and see your good earnings and seeing good responses.
Yeah, it has been a remarkable thing. This week we just noticed, I think we talked about it in the past, that we weren't seeing much traction from other sides of the market. Like majority of the S&P 500, I don't know if it's 40%, I forget what the number is driven by 8 or 10 stocks. And so to start seeing some traction from the broader market, some of the smaller companies, is a big deal.
Yeah,
I was doing some training with somebody earlier this week and explaining the S&P 500 and showing them like the 500th company in that is a very small company compared to, say, Tesla, or some of the Nvidia, some of those. But it's a huge company. It's an amazingly
I don't even know
large.
what the 500th company is. I might have to do my homework assignment for the weekend, but I can just imagine what their budget must be and their global reach must be. I mean, they have currencies they're probably having to have higher accounting departments to figure out, and adjust what revenues are coming in from all over the world. And so it's is that it?
Well, it was a shout out to our summer intern Chase. I was explaining it to him, and I was like, can you name an Indiana company besides Lilly? And so, but
Did he come up with this one?
No.
This is
But
one of my favorite ones. We're not showing it.
Zimmer Biomed is based up in Warsaw, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it would be down at the bottom of the Fortune or the S&P 500, and it's a $31 billion company. That's a small company.
It's a difference maker.
Right. And so when you get below those top 10 stocks and you look at it, some of them have had a struggling time. Like if I'm looking at Zimmer right here, and it peaked out recently in June of 2021, and we're still, I don't know, what was that?
We're a ways below.
We're 20, it's still down 25%.
This is where it's hard for me. Like, I know sometimes folks will give me a call or shoot me an email and say, hey, what do you think of XYZ stock? Not XYZ stock, but whatever stock it is that's on your mind or that you heard about from your brother-in-law. And I may like it for the first part of the morning and hate it by the afternoon. And so you'll never hear me say, yeah, go buy that and hang on to that forever, because things change in price and volume so quickly that the most important thing is your strategy to what you own.
Definitely want to have a process for the buy side and the sell side, so that you don't find yourself kind of hoping and wondering and having anxiety about why I own this investment.
And a stock like Zimmer, I mean, it could be in a community that you love and that you support and that you're a part of. Maybe your grandfather worked there, your uncle, your cousin, your favorite neighbor, that it doesn't really matter. What really matters is price volume.
Well, and today I am using a rental car company called Turo. Have you ever heard of them?
Well, through you and through my good friend Guy, yes.
Yeah, so it's like an Airbnb for your cars. Like I don't know if we could rent your Mercedes out there or not.
A nice one to rent.
I mean, it's got the bike rack.
Got a bike rack.
It's
air conditioning works.
This time it's working right.
I mean, a station wagon, great
Yeah.
for a summer trip.
Yeah, and so I'm renting a Tesla today. I had somebody come over to the house and train me to drive a Tesla, and that person was asking me about buying Tesla's stock earlier in the year. And had he bought it when he was asking me, he's probably about 2.5 times higher. I told him it wasn't a good idea, because there's a new YouTube interview out there with a guy named Stan Weinstein. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was earlier in June. It's a really good interview, and he talks about stage 1, 2, 3, 4 places in the cycle, and he's saying you want to get in stage 2. And when this fellow asked me about Teslas in stage 4, it's when it's going down. Well, yeah, it looks cheap, but you never know when the bottom's going to hit.
And what I'll hear about Tesla specific from people is, oh, I trust Elon Musk.
I trust him too.
I trust his vision for the company.
Right.
And I get all that, but that's not what makes a stock go up. It's important, but it's not what makes it go up. It's more buyers and sellers.
I was looking over, I just pulled this out of the trash today, Doug. I just pulled it out, but I was looking over some old Gimbal newsletters dated back to 2002. I'll see if it's on this.
I love the simplicity of that. I'm a kind of a beauty and design kind of guy. And yeah, I love the simplicity of this. That's really great.
Yeah, and the article I was looking for is not jumping off of here, but it was basically, it was talking about a stock that just got pummeled in 2002, and everybody thought it was a great stock, and they had loaded up their 401ks in it, because all it was doing was going up. And oh, here it is, an age-old policy remains true, it was the title of it. And this paragraph over here starts, Enron is not the first big corporation to deal dishonestly, and it won't be the last. And so those people that didn't diversify their 401ks had all the money in there because Enron stock was going up. They rode it right back down. And I think we said that a number of times. Almost always the slope on the way up is the same or similar slope on the way down. Yeah. That's a whole rabbit trail.
I suppose that was that you wrote that.
That was written in 2002.
So one of the joys that Keith and I were talking about this morning before we started the show was just we've had so many great people influence us over the past few years. And one of those persons is on a live program that Keith and I like to watch right now. And he hasn't been on that program for 3 years. made the comment to Keith, look what we've learned in 3 years and what we're convicted by. And so I just want to encourage all of you guys to enjoy the small beginnings. There might be something that you're starting today. It could be your individual investments. It could be health things. It might even be a relationship. But if it's seemingly small, take delight in it, because you get that some time and consistency compounded, and you can learn a lot, and you can have a lot of fun doing it.
I was talking a little bit about that with a friend of mine, and we're I think digressing away from the markets, but he was frustrated about an event in his life that happened, and it still has consequences to him today, and he was a little distracted by it, and I just said, you know what? If your life is a 200-page novel, you're on page 20, and that event is just a page out of the next 180 you have to go. And so the opposite is true too, is no matter if you're on page 180 of 200, you can start new things today that can really add to the beauty of your own personal story.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
What on the market should we look at? I mean, I could look at small caps, NASDAQ, S&P. You want to do it all?
You tell me where you want to go first.
We start with the S&P, so let's go there.
Let me share this real quick with our friends.
What letter grade would you give the S&P right now, Keith? This is not a buy or a sell decision or anything. This is just kind of Keith looking at it right now. What letter grade would you give it?
I'm going to stare at it real quick here. 44. Boy, it's trying to get a good passing grade.
It really
it is.
Yeah.
It's showing some nice activity over here today. We hit this midterm high over here in mid part of the month, and today we see some buyers coming into the market, and it's really interesting because the market doesn't care what the news cares about, right?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of squirrely news in the last couple of weeks, and the market is saying, you know what, we're going to move onward and upward, and so that looks really nice right now.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it looks like an A to me. It's coming off it's 200-day moving average. It's 50-day and just responding very well. It could do whatever it wants tomorrow and the next day. Nobody knows. We don't have a crystal ball, but what we can see, these are the things that we like to have seen, and we like to see prices going up.
Yeah, and we're still below where we peaked out just in December of 2021. We're still a good ways below that, but we're seeing some real positive action in there, and that's why we have people more invested today than we did 6 weeks ago even.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look at the NASDAQ real quick.
Yeah.
The NASDAQ again is going to be more inclusive of some tech stocks. It's going to be heavily weighted again with some of those tech stocks, and so even though it's going to probably have, I think it's got more like 2,000 stocks that's involved in that index. It's not necessarily going to put a lot of value in those lower numbers of 1,000 or 1,500 or the 2,000. They're not going to influence the price of this much.
Yeah, it looks good as well. I mean, it's gone through its 200-day, back in, what was that, March, February?
Yeah.
And then extended on through the red line, the 50-day, and then it's just been riding a nice trend upward.
And just to put it in perspective, we're still quite a ways below where we peaked out at a couple of years ago. So it looks to have bottomed out, and we're working our way upwards, and we're thankful for that. And here's the one that has struggled the most, been on the struggle bus quite a bit, is the small cap index. This one's represented by the S&P 600 index, and you can see the length of the lines here. Long lines are not a good idea in the market, and they represent volatility. And you can see this one just started flirting with its black line here, the 200-day moving average, and it's really shown some strength here in the last week or so. So we'll see how that moves forward. If we put it in the weekly kind of view, it is still struggling with this downtrend right here, and hopefully we'll see it get some traction too through the summer. We'll
And
see.
this is that broadening that Keith was talking about, right, from the first minute or two of the show is we're starting to see other other investments, other stocks that are starting to branch out beyond just those big company names like the ones that you all use for your devices of communication.
Yeah, let me see if I got something over here. This is my own little index that I've shared with y'all a few times, and it just gives you a view of the number of stocks in our database. It's been gradually working its way up, which suggests to me that maybe more stocks are coming to the market, but the database went from 9728 to 9744 in the last week. And the numbers to the right are how many of those stocks are trading below either their 21, their 50 or 200-day moving average. Those averages are basically taking the last 200 days and averaging out the prices, or the last 50 days, or the last 21 days, and saying, if we drew a line with those, is the stock above that or below it? And it's always healthier when those things are above it. And when I put the yellow on here, I was pointing out when more than half of the stocks are below those indices. And you can see it, the 200-day last week popped up a little bit from the week before, and then it dropped off quite a bit. And what I think that means is there's just a lot of stocks that are right near their 200-day moving average, and a little rally in the market would get them drop that number, and a little sell off in the market, and that number will jump back up pretty rapidly. So that's what's going on in that particular view of how broad the market is rallying. It looks really healthy right now.
I think so too. And the thing I love about math is that as things pick up, those averages pick up too. And so that's what we're looking for is we're looking to see, are these stocks coming above their 200-day or their 50-day average? Are there baskets of stocks? You know, the S&P 500 has 11 different types of baskets that make it up. And are those industry baskets looking better than others? Where are they? And what do we need to be paying attention to?
Well, it's good. It's going to be basically a 4-day weekend. We have 4th of July on Tuesday. The market's open only a half a day on Monday. My guess is all those people that supposedly work on the exchange in New York are heading to the Hamptons for the weekend, and we won't see them until next Wednesday. So Monday, most likely, will be a pretty light trading day. Sometimes those days people do weird things with stocks. So those are the days I think someone wants to buy stocks, they need to be more cautious than other days, because there's not it'd be like trying to sell your house in the neighborhood when nobody's paying any attention. You want to sell it today, the price could swing a lot of different directions. So that's what Monday will look like, I think.
I think you're right. What else do you have for us, Keith? I see you got some stuff over there. What is that?
Oh, I have all kinds of ideas to talk through. I was gonna go with, let me see what this one is here. This one is another one of my maps. I showed you a map a few weeks ago. Let me share this with y'all. I don't know if any of you are coffee drinkers, but I have my Yeti here. I have to turn the mutual fund company name away from it, so it's not advertising, but I make my coffee at home. And this map, it isn't very easy to read, but the green shows the colors are what are the dominant coffee providers in each of those states. Okay, so green is Starbucks. If you're buying a coffee out at a restaurant, most likely the restaurant you're going to be shopping at in these states is going to be Starbucks. The pink, I guess that's what color you call that, is where Dunkin' rules the universe. And then how about, is that Minnesota?
Yeah.
Caribou Coffee rules Minnesota. Did you know that?
Way to step outside.
Yeah,
Minnesota.
Yeah. And the reason I brought this up is kind of a multifaceted conversation. I was traveling up here in New England last year, and I was told by our friend, I believe it was Ryan Thomas, told me that if you order a coffee at Dunkin' in New England and they say, do you want it regular way? That means you get it with cream and sugar. So if you say,
really?
I'll take a coffee regular way,
I would have thought that was black.
Yeah, regular way. If you guys are traveling to New England this year and you want to hit the Dunkin', regular way is cream and sugar. So that is what the world looks like here. And then what caused me to go after that today is I was in Bloomington, Indiana yesterday. It's an interesting place down there. And their publication at the university the Indiana Daily Student is an interesting publication. And the main headline, we're ready for
Can they
a
see
fight.
that? Can they see that? I don't know if they can.
Let me stop the share so you can see this a little better. So I saw this and I had to get it. It says, we are ready for a fight. Are you ready for a fight?
No.
And then if I turn it down and just show you the smiling faces, I think even today as an old guy, I'd fight any one of these guys. They don't look like they're ready for a fight to me. And what they're fighting over is the East Side Starbucks employees are trying to unionize and fight against Starbucks in Bloomington, Indiana. They all look like university students who won't be there 3 years from now. And they're discouraged. They're asking for better working conditions, fair wages, and more consistent scheduling within the store. And I'm not speaking against unions. I'm speaking against this particular situation.
I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah, because
I guess I'd say start your own company.
yeah, and this old newsletter that was in the paper or in the trash can here, I was doing a series of articles called BFEO, and this was number 4, and it stood for Burger Flippers something, the Burger Flippers Experience or something. I can't remember what the acronym stood for, but I was telling stories of my time working as a burger flipper at Burger King, and nobody cared back then whether I had good working conditions, whether I had a good split shift. It just, nobody was expecting that that's where you're going to spend your career, right? This is where I'm going to get good training. And Starbucks, they've offered college training to their employees. They've done a lot of things. But I found this article really interesting. And before you jump in, I'll close out my thought and let you just take over on it.
I don't.
Because
I don't know where to go with that.
yeah, so then this happened. I wanted to tell those youngsters that this happened in Texas this year. That's where I'm flying to today.
You're going to the Bloomington of Texas.
Austin. keep it weird, Austin. So this is in Texas. I couldn't figure out where it was exactly in Texas, but it's basically this says it's a highly automated, but it's pretty much the first almost 100% automated. Like when you're at the drive-through, a conveyor belt's going to deliver your groceries out. Your French fries are probably going to be hot. They're going to be salted the same way every time. The sandwiches are probably going to be hot, and you're just going to drive through, pick it up, and roll. And so that's probably
the way Starbucks has become, though. I mean, you do a mobile app.
Yeah.
Like, you sat in one lately?
Well, I'm just saying is that I think that you can see if you look at the picture that looks like there's a couple employees. I'm thinking there's only 1 or 2 in that whole building. There's not a place for you to sit down. And so I think that's the destiny of the East Side Bloomington employees that are wanting to strike about better working conditions, because I'm pretty sure a machine can kind of make a coffee for you exactly how you want it.
Absolutely. But there's no love, there's no romance. And that's why I like the local business. And I know you do too. Whenever I travel with Keith, we don't go to the automated places. We always look for a local place to go dine and to go eat at. And so all of you who have started your own business and put a shingle out and taken the risk to just show the love to your community, that's where our dollars want to go.
And I don't mind Starbucks. I don't mind Dunkin' in those places. I think
Somebody owns those too.
Well, I'd say some are corporate owned and some are
Yeah.
franchise. So like the Dunkin' I frequent is 116th and Allisonville in Indianapolis here, or Fishers, and it is one of the most efficiently run restaurants I've ever been in.
There.
Yeah, and so somebody loves their employees because their employees show you the love in a brand name, but it's really a locally owned restaurant.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, that was it. I'm always curious what I'm going to see in Bloomington, Indiana when I go down there, because it's like you've stepped off of the planet and kind of you experience a whole different culture, almost like you're in Europe or something.
It probably would be a great place to live. You would have a lot of different opportunities to do things, whether it be sports or the arts. You know, the college campuses offer that, and that would be a fun place to live in retirement or when you could enjoy your local community. Be all right.
Well, I've helped finance some of that down there. Sent
Yes,
sent a
you
couple kids through there, so yeah, go for it. What else do we need to know, Doug?
I think, just spurring on the conversation we had last week about privacy and protection. Our industry is weird in the way that we have to communicate. And one of those weird things is we just can't do text messages. And the SEC is way behind the 8 ball, I think, on communications. And so, if you are communicating with us, and we hope you are, email, phone calls, those are the way to do it. And if you have feedback for us, or if you want to walk through your situation and your questions, always just feel free to give us a call, or send us an email, and we'll be happy to talk with you that way.
Well, communication is a big deal. I was asked to speak in a wedding in Austin. I was just going as a guest, and then once they realized I was there, they asked me if I'd officiate part of the wedding, and I was just pondering.
That's cool.
One of the most important parts of marriage is communication, and a lack of communication can cause a lot of big problems. And so we do want to communicate with you all as efficiently and as accurately as possible in anything that we do. But we're honored to serve you guys. We trust that this 4th of July week that you'll enjoy the freedoms that life brings you, and that you'll be able just to relax and just appreciate freedom like no other time.
Yeah. Happy 4th.
See you guys soon.